This weekend in the main event to Misfits 20, it is Darren Till taking on Anthony Taylor. And yes, this is now my fight preview for Darren Till versus Anthony Taylor. And yes, sorry, I had a sore throat there. Yeah, we've got, two MMA fighters at heart, of course, going at this. And it could be good or it could be an absolutely awful fight, if we're being completely honest. But yeah, I'm actually intrigued to see what's going to happen here. Obviously, it was meant to be Darren Till versus Tommy Fury, but Tommy Fury got scared that Darren Till was going to head kick him. So that fight's off, and Anthony Taylor stepped in. Fair play to him because he never turns down a fight. So respect to Anthony Taylor. But yeah, who's going to win this fight? This is interesting. I mean, we got Anthony Taylor, who's been around the influence game for quite a while now. Obviously, it was his fight with Tommy Fury on the Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley undercard that really got Anthony Taylor fully into the scene. Anthony Taylor, since then, he's been active in the scene. He's been up against some of the best influencer fighters. Salt Pappy, King Kenny, he's been up against. He beat Gabe Silver recently as well, and he has also been in there with Idris Virgo. He did lose that fight, but again, he showed chin. He showed a good chin. He showed heart in that fight as well. And yeah, and in that Tommy Fury fight, showed a good chin, showed good heart, and Tommy Fury was a much bigger man than him, and Anthony Taylor was able to stand his ground in that fight. So fair play. Darren Till, very entertaining. He's got a good entertaining style, 100% he has, in MMA as well. He's had an influencer boxing fight recently in Dubai as well. That ended in it was just a shambles, to be real. Ended in a scrap between the two after the fight because there was back of the head. His opponent went down. And yeah, that was it. It was an absolute blaze shambles to watch. But yeah, in MMA, he has had the odd good win. I mean, Wonder Boy to start with. But then ever since then, Darren Till's had his career affected by not turning up in shape to fight. And, with injuries, basically, his ACL, the classic one, of course, that he's always going on about. But yeah, ever since he stepped up, really, he's lost in MMA. You've got losses to Tyron Woodley, Jorge Masvidal, Bobby Knuckles, Derek Brunson, and Dricus du Plessis. They're all, top guys, if we're being completely real. And Darren Till has been able to make fights competitive with them. I mean, we saw it in the du Plessis fight as well. And at times in the Whittaker fight, he's able to make these fights competitive, but he just can't win them due to being injured or just not turning up in shape. So I think a big question is coming into this fight against Anthony Taylor. How much does Darren Till want it? Is he going to come into it fully in shape? It is actually looking that way, luckily, because at the Tommy Fury press conference, after at the media day or something, he was doing a little bit of shadow boxing, was not in shape whatsoever. But from photos that we've seen from his camp and stuff, the guy's looking in shape. So that's positive stuff to see. Darren Till is looking in shape as of now, which is good to see. With Anthony Taylor, he's clearly passionate about it. He's the Misfits. He's one of the Misfits champions at the moment. And he's passionate about it. He turns up in shape, always takes a fight whenever he's offered it. And, he's passionate for the game. So fair play to AT. Not exactly an entertaining fighter, though. He's got an interesting personality, but I think, overall, his fight style is not entertaining whatsoever. He's just mostly able to overwhelm his opponents by, kind of outworking them than just clinching straight away, holding them. And, as Anthony Taylor's got that MMA background, he's able to bully you in those clinches when he's got a hold of you there. Then they get out, get some quick work to the body, or upstairs, go in, clinches again, roughs you up. It's boring to watch, but this is different because Anthony Taylor is fighting another MMA fighter. And Darren Till's not going to get roughed up like someone like King Kenny was. At the end of the day, that's not going to happen. But, as well, when Anthony Taylor's in there with like an actual boxer like Idris or Tommy Fury, he lost those fights. But with Darren Till, he's another MMA fighter who's going to be strong in those clinches, who's not going to let Anthony Taylor bully him and overwhelm him with the experience. That's not going to happen in this fight. So that's something, in my opinion, that does go against Anthony Taylor. But a big thing that kind of does go against Darren Till is that, Anthony Taylor's more experienced in this influencer scene. Darren Till had one fight against a nobody in his influencer boxing fight. And, let's be real, was dominant in that fight. And as per usual, what Darren Till is able to do is, I think he does use his lead hand well. I think he does, get in and out of range quite well at times as well, Darren Till does. And he's always able to push you back. And that's a big thing about Darren Till. With Anthony Taylor, when he's fighting these guys like Salt Pappy, King Kenny, Gabe Silver, Anthony Taylor was able to push these guys back and push the pace and, just get his bloody clinches in, really, if we're being real. But against Darren Till, I think AT is going to have to work a lot harder in this fight compared to what he has in previous fights, without a shadow of a doubt, if we're being completely real. I think overall, we look at that Salt Pappy fight, and at the end of the day, it was experience that was able to win the fight for Anthony Taylor, not because he's anything special in there. He's just got the experience, and he's a pretty strong guy in those clinches, so he can eventually overwhelm you. But I mean, it's not good to watch. He's not got a good style to watch whatsoever. I mean, it was better. He showed a bit more of a positive style when he fought Gabe Silver, but it still wasn't anything to shout about. But, when Anthony Taylor does let his hands go properly and isn't always trying to force the clinch, he has got some decent power there, to be fair. And, and again, he can overwhelm you at times. But there's just so much clinching there. He's just frustrating to watch. But I think when Anthony Taylor fights Darren Till, I think Darren Till's going to make him work a lot more with that. And I feel like it's going to be more difficult for Anthony Taylor to fully find his range and be able to bully Darren Till. I don't really see that being able to happen. But he could win. I think Anthony Taylor's definitely going to be working the body in this fight. It could be very messy as well, though, at times, to be fair. I mean, I don't know. I feel like in Till's last fight, he was all right at being able to cut off the ring. But again, though, look who he was against. I don't even remember the bloody name of the guy who he was fighting. But, I mean, that was easy to do. But again, though, we have seen in MMA, even though, we all know how different it is to boxing. But at the end of the day, we've still always seen Darren Till win his MMA fights, even against, the top guys who he's been fighting, like Bobby Knuckles, Dricus du Plessis when they were on the feet. He was able to push them back, and at times as well, he's able to push Masvidal back on the feet as well and back them up against the cage and offload some good shots. And that's kind of, some traits of what we saw in the last fight as well. Darren Till likes to take center ring and, try and get some shots going from a decent range, but as well, mid-range, he's decent as well. We're trying to pick his shots on the feet. And that's what we're going to see. I feel like he's going to be trying to back Anthony Taylor up in those corners. But again, though, AT is probably just going to dig in some decent shots to the body, try and clinch him. But again, as I've been saying, it's going to be difficult to bully Darren Till at the end of the day. But look, I think Darren Till's probably got the power advantage over Anthony Taylor, definitely. But experience in boxing, even though it's influencer boxing, that advantage is to Anthony Taylor. He's been able to go in there, get the same game plan going, really, and be able to win the fight. But again, I think Anthony Taylor also likes to be on the front foot as well. He likes to try and, push you back so he can get his way and be able to push the pace of the fight, try and back you up against the ropes and just start clinching you and all that, or try and be in the middle of the ring. I feel like it could be a case in this fight of both guys trying to, push each other back, try and get into the center of the ring, and let's see what happens from there. But it's an interesting fight, and for me to say who do I think is going to win this fight, it's actually not an easy one. If I'm being completely honest, I've seen loads of people say, oh, Darren Till's a great boxer. But if I'm being real, I think Jake Paul knocks out Darren Till in boxing. I do. And if I'm being real here, I might actually favour Anthony Taylor to win this fight. I actually have a feeling he'll do it, to be fair. I actually have a feeling Anthony Taylor might win. A close decision here. Yeah, I see him winning a close decision. I reckon Anthony Taylor's going to start. No, I reckon Darren Till's going to start well, and I reckon Darren Till's possibly going to gas out. But again, it's interesting. I feel like it's a hard fight to call. And Anthony Taylor showed his shin, he showed his heart. He's a hard man to get out of there. And Anthony Taylor, no matter what, is going to try and keep coming forward at you anyway. But I feel like at a point, Taylor will find his range, be able to get into his range and really try, get some clinches going in there, coming forward, landing some on Darren Till. I mean, Darren Till's not Tommy Fury or Idris Virgo, who's going to be able to, pull back with some decent counters and, catch AT when he's coming in. He's not at the level of those guys boxing-wise. So if I'm being real, I actually see Anthony Taylor winning this fight. I do. I think it'll be competitive. But I think Anthony Taylor's going to do it. I think as the fight goes on as well, he's going to be more and more convincing. He'll be able to run in at times, land a few to the body, land a few upstairs, get into the clinch, try and then get out of it, push Till up against the ropes in that clinch, get out of it, then try and back him up, land some decent shots at times. I think it's going to go the distance. I think it's going to go to decision. I'm going to be going with Anthony Taylor, majority decision. That's what I'm going to say. Anyway, thanks for watching. Speak to you on the next one.